has delivered talks in several countries, including in and around the UK, Croatia, Netherlands, and now in South Africa. Dr. Ahmed, good morning to you and welcome to the agenda. I guess social media, digital media, why should we be interested?
Hi, so thanks for having me on the show. So if we think of social media use over the last 5 and 10 years, it's increased significantly. So there's more people using social media platforms, not only in Europe, but also in the African context as well. So in South Africa, we can see that there's been a growth in user base, and there's also a growth in internet users. So in Europe, for instance, internet penetration is around 80%, and in the African context, it's around 50%, but it's been increasing steadily.
Speaking about the African context, 50% you say. Our neighbor Zimbabwe has just held an election. You conducted some sentiment analysis, I understand, around these polls. What was the social media buzz around these elections?
So the social media buzz, it tended to be overshadowed by the violence that was taking place. So when we produced some analysis and then we looked at the content of the discussions, we could see that there was people sharing images from the ground, and those were shared more frequently. So the major discussion shifted the sentiment towards negativity because of the violence that was taking place.
And did you find that there was a lot of misinformation, a lot of so-called fake news online?
So in the case of these elections, when I searched the internet for any other potential kinds of misinformation that's been spread on social media, I found that in WhatsApp, for instance, people had noted that there was a message, a chain message that was circulating, which was asking voters to write the name of the party on the back of the ballot paper. Indeed, if they did do this, that would invalidate the actual vote. And this was just a fictitious message sent around for malicious purposes.
Doc, from a news perspective, why should media houses, say for instance the SABC, be in tuned to what is happening in the digital media space?
So now if we think of the power of social media, there's a concept known as media framing. So if something is reported on social media and it begins to trend, now the mainstream media might catch up on it and then begin to report it as well. So there's a major kind of link between what people are saying on social media and how it affects mainstream media. And also for news detection as well. So if you're monitoring certain locations, if you're aware of certain topics that might be trending in certain areas, if you're using social media, you as journalists, you could be one step ahead of a news story before it emerges.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you know, South Africa goes into an all-important elections next year. It will be also marking, 25 years of our country's democracy. How do you think our political parties can use the far-reaching powers of social media to get their message across effectively?
So you can use social media for speaking to the people who are in the, say, undecided category. They might not know which way they're going to vote. And if you are trying to contact them through social media, you could potentially sway how people are going to vote, especially if people are on the borderline. You can also use it to connect with people on Twitter as well. So in the United Kingdom, we can see politicians trying to engage with the members of the public by actually responding to tweets that are coming into them and tweeting about current affairs, current events, trying to connect with the voter base.
Just on the final note, Dr. Ahmed, I believe you also conducted some quick analysis on recent issues, unemployment issues, stats issues in terms of South Africa. Was social media sentiment as gloomy as the real raw figures?
Indeed, I used Node Excel to cluster discussion on South Africa and unemployment. And I'd found that there was a lot of negative sentiment on social media. So there was a lot of people who were very angry that the unemployment rate was so high, and it attracted tweets from across the African continent. And indeed, people were very upset. They were linking to news articles. They were firing blame at politicians as well for the high unemployment rate.
Doc, that's where we'll have to leave it. International scholar and academic Dr. Wasim Ahmed there. Thank you very much indeed for your time.